What's up, CJK1231 back again with another hip hop album review. This time we are doing IDK Is He Real? I've been doing this video for a couple of times now, just simply because it's been messing up, or I've been messing up. So I'm trying to really just get this right. But as far as this album and this artist, this is my first time being introduced to this artist. So I mean, I've been keeping up with contemporary hip hop for a while until I decided to start doing these. So forgive me if I just don't know who he is, but I don't. So this, my interpretation of how I think of him as an artist is all coming off of this album. Now, right off the bat, I think this album is kind of like a hybrid of trap, mumble rap, tempoed up beats with lyrical content. And I thought it was amazing because I didn't think I'd ever hear something like that, especially coming in. Like, I thought like trap, mumble rap was all rapped over those type of beats with just mumble trap nonsense or whatever. And the lyrical guys kind of, not saying that a lot of the lyrical guys are getting Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Ninth Wonder beats, but their beats would be more like in the lower BPM or something, while rapping, that high level content, with some messages, stories in it. So the fact that they kind of have an artist who's taking these trap mumble beats, but also spitting some lyrical content over it, I was just amazed. What can I say? Sorry about that, guys. And the whole album, not the whole album, let me refrain from that, but parts of this album feel like it's a concept album, simply for the fact that there are parts of this album that follow a concept. And if I had to sum it up, it's basically, what is God? Is God real? And should we listen to him? Is there a God? You know what I mean? Like, that's what some of this content on here is talking about, and my interpretation. And of course, you have some tracks on here, of course, that are gonna also go off topic simply because it serves another purpose. You know what I mean? Because I think when people try to make, like, especially nowadays, when people try to make hip hop albums, I feel like they try to grab everybody from every spectrum that they can. So you have ladies, deep thinkers, concept lovers, and all that stuff. So that's what I feel on this album. Like, there's a concept, but within the concept there are songs riddled in there that kind of geared towards another demographic completely. So we'll get into that. Basically, this album basically has songs and verses that I feel like forces the listener to ask deeper questions that normally they wouldn't think of, simply mainly because of the fact that most of the subject deals highly with society, and just at the end of the day, if there's a higher power and stuff like that. So for anybody that listens to this, is definitely gonna get a lot of information that probably they wouldn't expect to hear from an artist of today. And if they do, it's gonna definitely make them sit and think like, wow, okay, is there a God? Is there a higher power? Things of that nature. Now, let's get into the album itself, because I know I've been probably talking for 3 minutes about, the concept overall, but let's actually get into the actual tracks. So, we're going to go through my favorite tracks first of all. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you combine 2 skits that I like, that's about at least 8 out of 14. So there's 14 tracks on this album, so it's not that bad. So, but let's talk about them. Alright, so first, let's talk about the first track that I like off here, which is, I believe, the Ian Blue, which I actually kind of enjoy the fact that people are basically still embracing DMX after all the hardships he's been through, especially with him in and out of jail, his drug habit and problems. Which, by the way, I heard that him and LL Cool J signed some new deals with Def Jam, so we're definitely going to be hearing something new from them. Especially DMX, since he's been pretty active recently. So, sorry about that again, guys. But yeah, in this track, the Ian Blue, it's a skit, and basically, in my interpretation of this skit, is that they're in the church, being that this whole thing deals with God, and if he's real or not. I feel like they're in the church, and we are supposed to be we are supposed to be in IDK's place, because that's where I feel like most of it is coming from, especially when you hear the track. DMX, when people use DMX as a feature, you either get them for verses or prayer, and DMX in this is praying, while IDK's head, or in this case our head, is being dunked into some liquid, which we have to assume is water or holy water, and is being dunked out. So as DMX is praying, his voice is being muffled, because when you're underwater, anything above water, like, you can still hear, but you can't hear it as clearly because you're in the body of water, right? So his head's being dunked in and out while we hear DMX pray, and I could interpret this as either him being born again, or him using the holy water to exorcise the demons from him. That's what I feel like that whole scene was basically about. That's why DMX is praying. Otherwise, why is DMX praying other than just to pray? So, then it goes into Alone. And I like Alone simply because it does give me Pharrell influenced vibes. It does sound like a song that Pharrell would kind of do. Or at least, I haven't heard anything recent from Pharrell, but at least something that he would have done back when he was working with Clips and doing his own solo stuff. So, and it basically talks about, trying to better himself, and that you can do it too if you stop worrying about other people, other problems, just focus on yourself. And the fact that he made it to his dreams without any, of the school's teachings, just the whole educational system's teaching, the way people make you feel like you have to be in the rat race, where you're born as a kid, you go to school, as a teenager, you go to high school, then as an adult, you might transition into college, and then you go from college into your dream job, right? When half the time, stuff you may learn through these different schools that you go to, you might not ever have to use in life. So I think he kind of encompassed all that in the verses that he had for that song. I love the beat too, by the way. So, that's the first official track that I actually like off here. Then you have Porno. The hook is pretty meh. If you watch my Earth Gang review, I did say it top down had a poppy hook that was used in a great way. And I did say I was going to refer to a song on this album, I believe, that kind of used it in a way. And this is definitely a song, Porno. It's about basically sex and all that stuff with women. However, what I will say I like about it is the beat switch up, and the verses. I like IDK's verse, and Pusha T's gonna kill it no matter what, so you don't need to worry about that. But what I do like is when Jid comes in and he spits his verse, it switches up to the Milkbone horn sample, I believe. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Milkbone instrumental is very infamous and famous for being the exact beat that Big L and Jay-Z rhymed over for 7 minutes straight or 10 minutes straight. It's on YouTube, you could hear it. But they take the horn from Milkbone with the drums from Bonita Applebum from Tribe Called Quest, combine it, and you have Jid just basically go crazy on it. He had the best part in my opinion. Say what you will. Next thing I like is the other hook. Not the other hook, I'm sorry. The other skit, I Do Me, You. Now basically, I love the way that they essentially use A. Marie's classic Why Do We Fall in Love in the skit. And IDK asked, I believe this is IDK asking the question, but he asks Tyler, if there's a higher power. And Tyler, the creator, he says, yeah, that, there definitely is a higher power somewhere, because none of this could have been created out of nowhere. You see what I'm saying? So, I definitely like the instrumental on here too. This whole thing is amazing. Then you go into December, which the way I like to have the Chaka Demus and Pliers lyrics over the Kool and the Gang sample. So, I think that's cool. If you don't know the reggae artists I just named, Chaka, Dennis, and Pliers, they're the ones that have that song. I'm so sorry. What's that song? I know this little girl. Her name is Maxie. It wrong. Murder she wrote. That. They basically used that over the Kool the Gang sample, and this is basically the reggae song of the ample, the reggae song of the ample, the reggae song of the album. And it's basically one for the females that could be played in the clubs too. But I just like the way that this whole thing sounds. The fact that he cleverly would think to add those two together, which is the reggae lyrics with the Cool and Gang sample, and the fact that it even worked. Like, I don't know, there's something about December that I love. The month too, but more so the song. Next you have European Skies, which is basically, in my opinion, interpretation of it. It's structured as a song, but it's spoken word. And it's basically him questioning a lot of what, as I said at the beginning, this whole church stuff with God. He talks about, what we learn about in church and how God could be questioned, and also a lot of hypocrites. And if, what we're... I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the notes real quick, people. Basically, what we learn is all a lie, and essentially, forces you to think about it, And the outro is beautiful too, by the way. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of heavy, subject matter on this whole project, and that's one of them. December, I have to say, is one of the more deeper cuts on this whole project, because it definitely talks about, the existence of God. You know what I mean? And what you taught this whole time is like, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Then you have No Cable, which is, talking about, the struggle of uprising black men, and how, the struggle will possibly never end. And he speaks about it because nobody else can. He definitely stated that part at the last bit end of his verse. So, I mean, you can definitely tell something was on his mind. And, I think it was an amazing song. Pretty much, I guess you could say I'm a sucker for a substance. But then again, that just makes the music all the more better. So, next you have Digital, which is all about, the system set up that caused the black men to, fail, because all they know is, basically violence, and how, rage was brought up, through the broken homes, and the fact that if a cop kills a black person, there's no repercussions. I believe the hook, if you watch the video, is like basically the black cop kills a black person, no one cares, or nothing's done. But if you're selling weed, that's 5 years. You know what I mean? And it's basically, pretty much that, the struggle of the black man coming up in a country where, essentially all the rules are set up for you to fail. You know what I mean? Around the black communities, the projects and the hoods, is just like drugs and guns available. You know what I mean? All the tools that will get you locked forever. You know what I mean? At least that's what I took. These are the things. If I'm telling you how I took, I'm only telling you that because these are my interpretations of those specific songs, even if the artist may have intended it for something else completely. And then after that we have Julia, which in my personal opinion, since Brockhampton, is probably the best outro I've heard on an album for the period of time that I started listening to these albums. So like, even when you think of the albums that came out August, Commons, Rhapsodies, that I gave like 5 out of 5 albums and stuff to, this outro is pretty powerful. He talks about, what he could have been if he followed the general consensus idea of go to school, graduate, and be some big shot. He basically talks about how that could actually lead more so to a downfall than an upgrade. How you could get screwed over just pursuing that lifestyle. And he also breaks into a deep segment of the song in verses about, his upbringing, how he saw his mate and his mom, like, basically degenerate in front of him and dying. And when she finally did die, he found out, it was because his stepfather kind of gave her AIDS. Something crazy like that. So, I mean, very, 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 very... And then he asks the question, for a kid to look at his pants and without any rhyme or reason explain to him how he could describe red, the color, if he had to. So really, really, really deep subject, heavy on this album. IDK, is he real? Now, I'm thinking the title, again, if I'm following the concept, I think that message is for actual people that believe that there is God, I assume, because it says, is he real? You know what I mean? So, that's the name, that's the title of the album, and that's what certain subjects talk kind of touch on this album. So I mean, at the end of the day, it all makes sense, and it forces you to think as well. When you listen to that track, Julia, at the end, after it, I wouldn't be surprised if you thought and you try to, analyze yourself if, what you've been told the whole time in your lifetime is either a lie or, this whole big thing that people created just to give false hope. You never know. You know what I mean? But beyond all that I just said, I actually like this album. I can see myself coming back to it. Now, if I had to skip all the pleasantries, because I can sit here sucking up all day on how great this album is, but if you've heard it, then you know it's amazing. Again, that could be popular opinion, though. I know it's my personal opinion. I think this is a pretty dope project. However, let's get to the ratings now. As an overall rating, I decided I was going to give this out of 5. I'm going to give this a 4.5. Giving it a 4.5 because I like the fact that he had touched on many different serious topics. The fact that he even tackled something like this is pretty bold. The music is great. The lyrics are great. The messaging, the way he's delivering it, it's just amazing. I can't say anything else beyond that. And the songs are great. Made great use of the people in the skits, DMX and Tyler. You know what I mean? So, yeah, a 4 out of 5. And I don't know if that'll change soon. I was actually shocked by this album. So, anywho, guys, that's pretty much it for me on this album. Again, like and comment if you like what I'm doing. Subscribe only if you feel like what I'm doing right now is worth the subscription, because I don't ever want to have to waste somebody's time. So, you can subscribe, and if you do decide to subscribe, you can also hit the notification bell to let you guys know when I'm uploading a video at any time. So, you know what I mean? That's what I'm going to be doing. And hopefully, if you enjoyed everything you've seen, hopefully you'll come along for the ride and subscribe. But if not, it's cool. A like is just as great. A comment is just as great. You know what I mean? Because I also have a saying, and people know it all the time: subscriptions are earned, not asked for. Only subscribe if you truly feel like you're getting some enjoyment or getting something out of this. If not, then, like it, keep it moving, and I'll still love and appreciate you guys. But, man, at the end of the day, this has been a review of IDK. Is he real? 4.5 out of 5, so just halfway there. And hopefully, love you guys, be safe, and hopefully you'll be here for the next album review that I decide to do. So with that being said, I want to say peace, guys.